from an outsider, things seem like a real shit show inside the House, inside Congress, right? On the streets, it's also a shit show, right? But are things as bad as they seem?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. No. Look, it is a shit show.
I'm here today with Rep. Jim McGovern from Massachusetts. Very happy to have you.
Happy to be with you.
We have no beer. I'm sorry.
And that's unfortunate because I need one.
I don't blame you. Yeah. It's been a hell of a week. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, this has been an exhausting week. I mean, so the good news is that we were able to move the release of the Epstein files forward. I mean, we'll see what happens with whether the president complies or not. But that's on the good news ledger. But everything else we did this week is just crap. So it's I mean, these people are horrible who are running the Congress right now.
Yeah, I want to talk about how spicy you are because I love it, and I think it's important to have that in Congress. Do you have any recommendations for maybe, I don't know, Democratic leadership on how to also be spicy?
Yeah, I think we have to stop. We have to stop talking in riddles and just say what's on your mind.
Crazy concept.
Be clear and you don't have to be so nuanced. I think people appreciate candor. I do a lot of town halls, and if I get too rambly or if I'm trying to avoid answering the question directly, people call me out on it. And I have just learned over the years it's just easier just to say what's on your mind.
What a crazy concept.
Yeah, I know it is crazy, but here everybody calculates every single word, and nobody wants to offend anybody, and nobody wants to get anybody upset, and so you tend to say a lot. But but a lot of what you say is nothing.
Yeah, which is so infuriating. There's nothing I hate more than fluff. So we do want to talk about the Epstein files. It is all the rage. But listen, they're like the kings of manipulation, right? And they launched a DOJ investigation, which could prevent some of this stuff from happening. I'm also not entirely convinced that everything that will be released be actually everything released. How do we make sure that this is released, it's all of it, and everyone is held accountable?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to keep at it. I mean, I think there are enough people who have seen what's in these files that if, in fact, the Attorney General, as I expect, doesn't want to be forthcoming, they will hopefully be whistleblowers and alert members of Congress to what we're not seeing. But look, let's not forget, I mean, when Trump campaigned for office, he talked about releasing the Epstein files. All of his MAGA base wanted to release the Epstein files. Then we get news that Pam Bondi has the Epstein files on her desk and is about to release them. And then all of a sudden, they don't want to release them anymore. And I have no idea why. Trump is behaving like he's guilty of something.
Yeah,
and so I think we have to be concerned because right up until the last minute, he was calling Republicans stupid and idiots for voting to release the files. And then he gave them all permission after they voted, like in the Rules Committee, 9 times to block bringing the bill to the floor, twice on the House floor. So he put them all on record as saying, we don't want transparency. But then he did an about face. And you just wonder, whether or not he's going to slow walk this. And I think we have to keep at it. Look, I met with the survivors. And I mean, these people have been through hell. And not only, been put through hell because some of them, were 11, 12, 14 years old. I mean, and they had to, they went through with this, these terrible ordeals. But then, when they come forward, they've been bullied, they've been threatened, people have called them liars. I mean, nobody believed their story. So they had to relive that trauma again and again and again. And for their sake, there needs to be full transparency. I have no idea. None of us know what's in these files. There may be Democrats that are implicated. I mean, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we are doing right by the survivors. And again, I hope this ordeal is coming to an end. But with Trump, again, this guy lies. He's a liar. I don't trust him. I don't trust the Speaker of the House. I don't trust the Republican majority. They lie. I said that they lie like a rug. I mean, they just they can't help themselves. And it's not about what's good for the American people. It's all about what's good for them.
Right. It's so infuriating. Yeah. And so I do want to talk about that a little bit, because from an outsider, things seem like a real shit show inside the House, inside Congress, right? On the streets, it's also a shit show, right? But are things as bad as they seem?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. No. Look, it is a shit show. I mean, and to be honest with you, I've been here for a long time as a member of Congress, but also as a congressional aide. Yeah. I've never quite experienced a situation where so many people are just frightened to death of the guy in the White House. Republicans, they won't do anything unless they think it will please him. And it has been really disappointing to me, because over the years I've worked with some Republicans on a number of issues, like supporting funding for NIH, medical research, on human rights issues, on economic development issues. And those same Republicans right now don't want to work on anything. And they're just afraid of offending him. They're afraid of a primary challenge. He threatens people. People see what he does on social media, to not just Democrats, but to Republicans who may stray out of line. Yeah. He ridicules them. He makes fun of them, threatens them with primary challenges. And so the Republican conference here is just like spineless. Yeah, they're spineless. They have no backbone. And I remember we were debating the big ugly bill on the Rules Committee. So we're the first kind of group up to. You
guys are kind of like the gatekeepers,
right? Yeah, and we're the first ones up to argue for or against a piece of legislation. And I remember as I was speaking against the bill, probably about a half a dozen Republicans came up to me and said, "Yeah, I agree with you. I'm afraid my rural hospitals are going to close because of the $1 trillion cuts in Medicaid. It's so cruel. They want to cut SNAP." And I would say, "Are you gonna vote against this with us?" Can't. And I'm like, crazy. Yeah. And I'm like, I would respect you more if you came up to me and said, "I believe all this bullshit. Right. I actually believe that millionaires should get and billionaires should get more tax cuts, and we should cut programs that help the vulnerable in this country." If you said that to me, at least I would understand why you're voting the way you are. But to come up and tell me that you agree with me, and then you're going to vote yes on a bill, that does all this harm to your own constituents, well, I'll get a primary. And I'm like, it's not. I mean, this is a nice job in a lot of ways, but it's not worth being here if every day you come to work and you vote against your conscience. Right. I mean, it just, and that's, look, I think Trump is, a crazy man. I think he's an awful human being. Yeah. A lousy president and a rotten human being.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, but quite frankly, my disappointment is more with Republicans who know better and who go along to get along.
No, you can absolutely tell. Because I always say, I'm like, look at how the representatives and the senators are voting when they're actually not running again.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see when they aren't doing that, all the Republicans, they're fighting back. Right. So you know that they know this is wrong. They know that this is bad for America. Yet nothing's changing. Nothing's happening. And they're just letting this like angry orange man just ruin shit and ruin lives. And it's so infuriating. And it's even angrier knowing that it's happening.
Look, I know Republicans are hearing from their constituents like I'm hearing from mine on healthcare right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
we need to talk about that.
Millions of people have gotten their health insurance notices, and they're seeing that their bills are doubling and tripling, in some cases quadrupling. And people are complaining, how do I pay for this? Mm-hmm. I mean, do I get behind on my rent, or do I not, buy groceries, or do I just not get health care at all? Because I feel good. I'll go without health care for a year or two. I know they're hearing the same thing. And yet, here we are, this week doing like a bunch of bullshit bills that do nothing to help anybody. Yeah. They're just like, and these are bills that are probably not going anywhere in the Senate. And, when we should be dealing with, how do we make the cost of living, easier for people? How do we lower costs? How do we make things more affordable? We should be talking about that. And they're not even making believe that they care about that stuff. You hear Trump, when he gets asked about how prices are going up, he goes, no, they're not. I mean, when's the last time Donald Trump's been at a grocery store? When's the last time that he's bought anything on his own? I mean, this is a guy who just, since he became president this time around, he's increased his family wealth by $3 billion.
Yeah, okay. We're not talking about the amount of corruption going on in the Donald Trump family, because I'm like, I remember Hunter Biden and the whole scandal going on there, and every congressional GOP member lost their goddamn mind. And I was like, we have the entire Trump family just running around doing all these business deals, crypto, Saudi Arabia, all of this stuff, and no one's sounding the alarm about it. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, during his first term, I would say that Donald Trump was the most corrupt U.S. president in recent history. His second term, I would amend that to take out the word recent.
Yeah.
I've never seen this kind of corruption, blatant, in your face. I mean, his kids, making deals with governments that he's doing favors for. I mean, it's just gross. And again, I get it. Republicans are afraid to stand up to him, but the precedent that's being set here is really, really dangerous. I mean, this president can be bought.
Yeah.
I mean, give him an airplane, or give his son a sweetheart business deal or whatever, and all of a sudden, the United States will do wonderful things for you. But it's so gross, and he's now bending over backwards for countries that have horrific human rights records. I mean, the Prince Saudi Arabia here. I mean, he's defending this guy, Khashoggi, who had Khashoggi killed, cut up into pieces. I mean, this guy, it's incredible. And his CIA from the first term, briefed him and provided him the documentation to show the direct link between Khashoggi's murder and the Crown Prince. And to him, this is a business deal. So whatever. I mean, and to say that his response that Khashoggi, wasn't a nice guy in some circles. I mean, like, you're the president of the United States. I'm ashamed that you are the president of this country. I'm ashamed that anybody would get up and just cover up human rights abuses like this. Yeah. But that's who he is.
Yeah. And I mean, and also a lot of his ICE agents now too are also like conducting human rights abuses. Like, it's gone out the window.
I mean, ICE, employs these Gestapo-like tactics. It scares the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister teaches school in Worcester. I mean, some parents are afraid to bring their kids to school.
Yeah, it's awful.
I'm told that people are afraid to go to food pantries because they think ICE may be, lurking around the block.
Yeah.
I had a Catholic priest ask me, what do you do if ICE shows up at my church during Mass? And just the fear and the cruelty of separating families and of targeting people. And by the way, they're targeting people who are here legitimately in many cases. They're targeting people who are U.S. citizens.
Oh, yeah.
And they're totally unapologetic about it. But people in masks showing up and terrorizing communities, it's happening in this country. I never thought this kind of stuff would happen here.
So what can be done? Because we know things are awful, right? The country is extremely unaffordable. Yeah. Economy is hanging on by a thread. We got ICE agents that are doing horrendous things and committing terrible human rights abuses. And we have, a very corrupt president. And I understand Dems are in the minority, but what can be done? What can we have some hope for?
Yeah. We have to fight, right? And I don't think enough of us are fighting.
Yeah.
I don't think the resistance is as strong as it needs to be. And I think Trump's attack on our democracy is moving more quickly than I thought possible. And by the time some people realize what is going on, it may be too late. So we don't have a lot of time. We have to win the midterm elections. I mean, we can change, we can stop and reverse things if we win, right? Mm-hmm. If we don't win, then it's going to be virtually impossible. We have to win. And so people need to be engaged, in congressional races and Senate races that may not even be in their own states. I mean, you just have to be more engaged in politics in general. You have to show up to protest. You have to serve as a circle of protection around our immigrant community. You have to show up to things. And you can't fall victim to Trump's strategy, which is to overwhelm you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do a lot of town halls, and I hear this common theme about, I wake up in the morning, I turn on the news, and it's not one thing, it's like 10 things.
Right.
And like, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, where do I focus? And it's overwhelming. It's like drinking water from a fire hose. I feel helpless and hopeless. And so I want to pull the shade and wake me up when this is over with. That is their strategy, right? We just have to win. I mean, I don't know how else you stop this and fix this unless we have a majority here that actually shares the same values as most of the people in this country. Right. And while we're in the minority, again, we got to do everything we can to shame them. If we can't persuade them, we need to shame them. We need to make it difficult for them to move forward. We need to use every procedural mechanism available to us to kind of slow things down. Especially things that are going to screw over average people in this country.
Yeah.
And we have to talk candidly, not just to our elected officials, but to members of our community, to our families. One of the things I'm kind of reflecting on, like, how do we get to this point?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us over the years, I mean, this is built up over the years. When people would say outrageous things, like some of the stuff that the Trump people say, I think a lot of us would responded by saying, well, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. I'm not going to give you credibility by arguing with you. And, let's just change the topic. I think that was a mistake. I think when people say stuff that is wrong, that's a lie, that is potentially hurtful to people, we all have to speak up and say, no, that is a lie.
Yeah.
That you're wrong. And that may be at Thanksgiving dinner.
Have fun, guys.
I know. I mean, it may be. But you know what? But, our kids are there, right? Our relatives are there. So if you're not saying anything, and you're not responding and correcting the record, then people are going to say, maybe that's true. And a lot of some of the questions that I get, do not reflect reality. I mean, the narrative that they're putting out there reflects propaganda, reflects fake news, reflects, the bigotry and the hatred coming out of this administration. Mm-hmm. And, and it's, so we're constantly having to set the record straight.
Yeah. I feel like we need to be talking more about AI because it is propping up our economy at the moment with all these investments in the stock market. It's kind of uneasy. It's taking over jobs. It's ruining some elements of the environment. And it feels like we're in the social media boom again. And we see how social media negatively impacted so much. And I'm nervous that Congress is not doing enough to help regulate AI. What are you doing?
You are absolutely right. We're behind.
Yeah.
I mean, and we ought to be ringing the alarm bells.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be some guardrails put in place. I mean, AI, there's great potential there.
Right.
But there's also, there's also opportunities to weaponize it and to basically have it overtaken by somebody with a political agenda. Yeah. I mean, you look at all these different social media platforms. I mean, Trump is determined to make sure that kind of the right wing, like, basically take over everything. Mm-hmm. So the stuff that you're getting, on X, the stuff that you're getting on, various other social media platforms is what he wants you to be fed. It's not necessarily objective. It's all slanted toward his particular point of view, and and AI, it's worse. I mean, they could take this conversation we're having, and basically have us talking about something that we're not talking about, and it will look like we're having a real conversation. How do you stop that? Because people believe what they see, and so I mean, I've had a number of people share with me videos of, where it's me, and I think it's my voice, but I never said any of this stuff, right? And then you're like, then you feel I have to constantly correct the record, and if this gets out of hand, right, then there'll be no such thing as a place to get factual information, and politics is tough enough. The challenges we face are tough enough. If we're dealing with reality and we're dealing with the facts, but if we're being fed misinformation and just lies and made up stuff, I mean, how do we operate? I mean, I worry about the impacts, just not only on our society. I worry about the global impacts and the I mean, if you let your mind go wild a little bit,
I
you
don't
have
recommend.
situations
It's not
where,
good for you.
where we might be, in
Oh
a
yeah,
war. I mean, it's
horrifying.
like, no, and like, again, this Congress here, the Republicans here, I mean, these guys debate trivial issues passionately, and important ones not at all. By the time they get their head out of their ass and they focus on things like AI, it may be too late. And we're already behind. We got to be talking about this a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question about Affordable Care Act subsidies, because that's been kind of tabled, but good old Senate Dems got a promise of a vote, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Because the healthcare system is so broken and people can't afford it.
Yeah. First of all, I mean, we ought to have a discussion at some point about what kind of healthcare system do we want in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm somebody who believes in Medicare for all. I think we could do this more effectively and efficiently. But in the short term, we need to extend these subsidies. These tax credits are essential so that people can afford their health insurance. If you can't afford your health insurance, then you may go without health insurance, and you'll end up, getting your care at the emergency room, which is incredibly costly. If healthy people opt out of the health insurance pool, then the costs go up for everybody else, right? And people who are basically going without food in order to pay for their health insurance because they have underlying conditions. I mean, it's unconscionable. I mean, healthcare should be a right for everybody in this country. I mean, we're the richest country in the history of the world, and we have a healthcare system that, quite frankly, is broken in so many respects. Not only in terms of affordability, but in terms of where we're focused on. I mean, we got to be focused more on prevention. I do a lot of work on food and nutrition and hunger. We ought to understand the importance of making sure people have access to good nutrition as a way not only to keep people healthy, but to control healthcare costs.
Yeah.
But it's like we're not having those discussions, and again, we have an immediate problem right now, and that is that people have received their notices and their healthcare bills are going through the roof. We have to provide them relief now. We're already late. People got their notices in November, in the beginning of November. People making decisions about whether they're going to have healthcare or not have healthcare right now. But these guys can, they have no problem with passing tax cuts for multimillionaires and billionaires. They do that in a nanosecond. They have no problem giving $40 billion to this right-wing cuckoo clock in Argentina, but they can't find it within their hearts to try to extend the tax credit to make sure 24 million Americans don't lose their health insurance. I mean, what is wrong with these people? I mean, I don't get it. I don't know even, why are they even in government? Because government is supposed to be about helping people, and they're screwing people over. And so, we're trying to figure out a way to force the issue in the next couple of weeks. I don't know whether we're going to be successful, but we're going to try. But it's another reason why we have to win. Yeah. I mean, again, we can complain all we want, and maybe it's good therapy, but we're not helping people if we're not in control. We have to win, and we have to deliver. Losing is not an option.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Representative, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.